Greetings once again. It's a pleasure to be back and it's a pleasure to be having this conversation with you on African Farmer Voices. So the last couple of weeks I've had conversation with different medical professionals, healthcare professionals, I would say nurses, doctors, physicians, clinicians, and pharmacists as well. And in most of these conversations, one of the key questions that have been coming up to me is what do these doctors do in the pharmaceutical industry, and especially those who come as medical affairs, medical science liaisons, and all that. And then it's a good conversation that it's good for us to understand. And when I'm going to talk about what a career in medical affairs entails within the pharmaceutical and life science industry, it's a matter of understanding where do these professionals come from, what are some of the key requirements in terms of academic background and training that is important for them to be able to do the job. Then after we know the qualifications that are required, then we can now get to the conversation on what kind of job do they really do in that space and what kind of insights do they need to get to be able to work as medical affairs specialists and professionals in the industry in whatever job that they're doing. So number one, when you look at it, the first thing that you'll see most medical affairs role will be somebody with a medical background, and preferably doctors, pharmacists, dentists, depending on the kind of product line that the company is dealing with. Nurses would come in as well, depending on the category of the product and also the level of use of that product. And most importantly, that understanding of the healthcare life science background is important for you as a professional. But when you get into the industry, look at it from your role and all the qualifications of these people. When I talk about the level of training that you do have as a medical doctor that will qualify you to be in that situation. One, you've trained as a medical practitioner, therefore, you can do the preliminary diagnosis and you understand how diagnostic of particular diseases are, but you also know the pharmacotherapy of those particular condition, in the sense that you can know which medicine will be used to treat which particular condition and what is its mechanism of action and what are the considerations that you will make to make the best judgment on whether to use drug A or drug B in the treatment of a particular patient. And that means you understand the drivers of use of products. What are the drivers of use of a product? For a patient, for a physician, you'll be looking at the best treatment outcomes. And your best treatment outcomes could be the patient getting well as soon as possible, the patient being able to function normally without disruption on their normal day-to-day activity that they would be using, and therefore you choose, okay, do I want to give them an antihistamine that has a drowsing effect or not, and what would be the considerations behind that. And then once you've understood the patient outcomes in terms of quality of life, the treatment outcomes, prognosis, and all that piece, you go to the socio-economic aspects of it and you're looking at how does that affect their relationship and their social circles and the social environment. And how does that affect their financial capability? Maybe it's too expensive, they're not able to afford it. Maybe they don't have a medical cover. And then those are some of the key fundamentals that come into perspective when you're making a treatment decision and choosing what to give your patients. So with that understanding, you also know if these are the key impediments that will influence how I choose, who are the players that will determine these key factors within the gameplay? Because then if the main hindrance to the patient getting the best treatment solution that is available for them is payment, then the question we should be asking, who are the payers within the ecosystem? Is it a social insurance scheme? Is it a private insurance scheme? Is it the community funding scheme that they have a community-based healthcare cover model, whatever it is that they're coming in with? How do we optimize it? And also, how do we ensure that that particular financing mechanism is integrated into the product that we're bringing into the market? Those are some of the good conversations that we need to be able to have, and you need to be able to understand all that ecosystem and that dynamic. And once you understand that, you ask yourself, if I'm going to influence to talk to this particular social insurance firm, whatever it is, to be able to cater for this product and this technology for the use in treatment of patient X, what information do they need? What evidence do they need to generate to actually convince them that it is the right product for their treatment or that particular condition in their population group? Because then if you can justify it, you are already winning with that patient. And that justification should look at the value for you as the patient, the value for the patient, which is the insured, and then the value for you as a physician in terms of delivering the best care, and the value for that insurance company because their business is in covering patients, paying the least, but getting the best outcomes at the least. Therefore, then they're able to be profitable as a venture and as a business. So with that understanding, you understand that now when we go to the medical affairs as a profession, as a career line in medical, normally it's either medical science labs or medical science specialists, medical affairs colleagues and all that, or even government affairs, depending on what different levels. And we'll start from the medical science where you just need to understand the science and use the science. And then you use the science and add additional layers to it in terms of the economic value, the health outcome research, and all that. So these are different levels that you come into. When you get into the industry, what does your role entail in medical affairs? Number one, when you look at the industry and most of the medical science liaison, you'll see they go visit doctors, they go talk to nurses, like all the healthcare professionals normally talk to medical science liaisons. But they're different from pharmaceutical marketers and from medical representatives, because the medical representative is looking at getting a recommendation and a prescription for their medication, which is the key driver of economic return. The medical science liaison sells science but doesn't sell in its essence of selling. I will not recommend for you to buy a product, but I'll want to understand what are the key determinants of your use case for a particular product, with the aim of generating evidence and getting insights from you as a colleague, as a professional who is taking care of patients. Because when I know your pain points in managing your patients, I can inform our development strategy in the company. And beyond informing the development strategy in the company, I can also see what indications should we prioritize in our marketing campaigns and our marketing engagements in the public. And on the other end, that is now to the doctor, because I need to know what are the considerations. Maybe when we get this medicine, the patient doesn't get better in the shortest time possible. There's need for improvement on that, whatever it is. I'm using that information to inform our own commercial and medical strategy in terms of the evidence that we're generating in the company. When we leave that and we move to the next level, understanding what information does the insurer need, what does the information does the payer want, to be able to convince them that this product that we bring into the market is the right product that they need to be using. Because once we understand that, we are better able to generate evidence that will demonstrate the efficacy, the quality, the value of the medicine in treatment of patients, and then package that information in a way that is compelling to be given to the insurance company, whether private or social insurance, to make a reimbursement decision. When they are making a reimbursement decision, it means when I'm bringing my product to the doctor who knows the value of that medicine, they can prescribe it with ease, with confidence, with trust that it will not be beyond the means of the patient who is being offered that medication. So that is the evidence generation. And beyond that, coordinating these to ensure that when you're generating the evidence, is it within the confines of the regulatory requirements and the mandate with you're operating? Because if you generate evidence, it doesn't align with the legal ethical requirements, then it's not permissible and not admissible in any form. It will not be considered for treatment of your patients from a regulatory standpoint. It will not be approved. On the reimbursement side, it will not be reimbursed because that data is not accurate, it's not verifiable, it's not quality. And then data is questionable, it's not being reimbursed, which means however good your product is, nobody will reimburse it. When it can't be reimbursed, patients will not use it. So medical affairs professionals generally are people who sell the science, but they also generate the science in terms of the evidence from scientific principles to be able to inform development, use decisions, and even reimbursement decisions for health products and technologies within the healthcare life science industry. For professionals who are keen on getting into this kind of line of work, we're in the process of discussing with our colleagues and seeing what can we do and actually how do we make these insights and knowledge available to people who are interested. So be on the lookout. We might be coming up with a program or probably facilitating a couple of industry discussion groups with the essence of giving you the knowledge, the insights, the understanding, and the specific principles that would equip you with the knowledge and the insights to practice within the domain and to be able to make a contribution to the life science industry so that we have more evidence being generated in our continent. Unfortunately, at the moment we talk about evidence generation of around 3% on local data within the African ecosystem. How do we get it to 20%? How do we get it to 50%? It can only happen when we have medical affairs professionals who understand the evidence generation perspective, especially for mature products that are already in the market that are being used, and positioning them appropriately to the insurer to reimburse them, to the doctors to use them, and to deliver the best care for the patient that we're engaging with. If you enjoy this conversation, I'll call on you, subscribe to the channel, share the video with some of your friends who would find value from it, and most importantly, let us keep the conversation going to ensure that we power the growth of our pharma industry. Thank you and have a good one.